So I'm going to turn this program over to Elsie Hall, and she is an assistant over here who's hiding away in Guido, and we're glad that she could come this evening too. So we welcome you, Elsie, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Pam is my right-hand person, I will tell you. She has taken me through a lot of these crazy events, and they do, as you can see, there's a lot to set up, so it does take a little bit of time, and I can use all the help I can get. As Pam Frank told you, we are going to take you through an open house. The easiest way for me to do that is kind of to start out by explaining to you a little bit about country. Now, if you do not decorate with country things at this time, maybe we can give you a little bit of insight and help you through a few decorating ideas. And we'll start from the very beginning of an open house right to the end. Now, one of the reasons why I happen to enjoy country and why my store is all country is because I have a definite affliction. And Debbie has heard me talk about this before. I'm a countryholic. I absolutely adore country things. Our house is full of country things. For people who absolutely aren't really sure what country is, to give you some symptoms of countryholics. If you are driving down the road and you happen to see a sign that says craft show, antiques, country crafts, your heart starts to patter a little bit. Oops. And if you start to get sweaty palms and you start saying, honey, pull over, this is a definite symptom. It's not fatal, but it can be very damaging to the pocketbook after a while. If you happen to love to see an old teddy bear with one eye and half of the fuzz ripped off of him and a little bit of stuffing falling out on one side, that's really just part of the country syndrome. You really enjoy something that's been loved in the past, in our history. All the country things you're going to see today are part of the American history. Things that have been part of our past and used at some time, maybe in the past, and maybe that utilitarian effort way back maybe 75 years ago is no longer being used. And so we've converted it to being used today. You'll see a lot of that through this. You'll see a lot of antiques that are also used in country. We have a few here today, and I'll go through those as well. Now, first of all, if you're going to come to an open house, if you're going to come to my open house or to anybody's open house, you need to be given an invitation. It's not that easy finding a country invitation. You just don't go into a Hallmark store and say, excuse me, can you tell me where the country invitation department is? They just don't have them. Invitations for country things or something that's simplistic and something that denotes the American history is not necessarily available. So you might find it easier to make them. Now, I have stenciled a few invitations here for you to see. It's a very simple stencil. It's a very basic stencil, and anybody can do it. It's done on paper. And the paper that we've used is maybe paper that you've seen at different stores that are sold by the pound. Have you ever seen paper by the pound or stationery by the pound? That's what you can very easily use. We've taken a very simple Mylar stencil, and what we've done is taken the paper by the pound or maybe a stencil kit, which are available, and we've stenciled invitations. You can do it in any one of a number of different designs. You could take the same stencil and do it maybe in this direction. The same idea, just a little bit different. You want to get real excited, you can do the envelopes. You can really have a good time with the stencil. And again, it's a very basic idea. It doesn't take a lot of time. And you can use this theme and this stencil all through your decorating for this open house that you're going to have. You won't have to buy any more stencils, and you won't have to go crazy with an investment into major paper products at the Hallmark store. And I think you'll find it very easy to work with. So that'll keep you going as far as tonight's schedule is concerned. We're going to go through the stenciling and the idea of just saying, okay, the stencil will be used throughout the idea of the evening. Now, okay, we've got everybody invited. They know to come to my house at 7 o'clock. And what I want them to do is when they pull into my driveway or pull up along my house, I want them to immediately feel they're coming to a country Christmas open house. And I want the house to give the appearance of country Christmas. And country decorating is really very easy. Oops, let's get that there. Country decorating is a lot of natural, easy to find things. Between my store and Giant Eagle, I guarantee you, you're done. That's all you have to do. Basically, what I would say is they're coming up to your driveway, okay, and they're pulling in. And you want them to look at your house and immediately see the warmth and the charm of a country home. Best thing is to start out maybe with candles in the window. Now you may not want to light real candles, but you might want to have a tin candle in your window. Something that at the end of the table, you notice we have some little tin candles that are set on little tin settings. It's just kind of looks like almost a cookie cutter, but it's actually a tin lantern. And those are made to sit in windowsills, or they're made to sit actually on a clip onto a double hung window. You can get them either way. Now that's sitting there in your window. It has a nice little glow. You've got one in each window. It's not a bright orange neon light that says, this is the place. This is not a Taiwanese import. It's a little glow. It looks like a natural candle. If you'd like to make it a little bit nicer, you could put a little grapevine wreath behind it. Now you have a nice candle glow, a little halo behind it of a grapevine wreath, nothing fancy. And maybe you've taken some greens. You've attacked a bush out back, taken some greens and put them on your windowsill as well. So not only from the outside does it look warm and cozy, but when they walk in the house, you've got that again on the inside of the house, and it looks really nice and warm and cozy. Now they're coming up, they see the window, they see your front lawn area, and you might want to light the path. You want them to know how to get to the front steps without toppling over. So we've quite often seen a lot of the luminaria used, especially in Upper St. Clair. And Christmas Eve, the place just really looks beautiful with the luminaria. Well, there's no reason why you can't do a luminaria again, only do it for your open house. Take a paper sack, take your stencil once again, stencil the front of your paper sack, set up your own luminaria. Have those all the way along the path up to your front door, and they can find their way quite easily, and they're all in awe of this cute little house. You've just come up to see these beautiful little luminaria. Now they've come up to your front door, and maybe you'd like to have something warm and cozy on the porch if you happen to have a front porch. Maybe you'd like to have some greens hanging down from the porch area. Maybe you'd just like to have a little reindeer to greet them when they come up the front door. All these are done in natural woods, and it's a natural look, which is all a part of the country decorating motif. When you get into a country decorating idea, quite often you'll find that you needn't go out and spend a lot of money. If you happen to have a nice set of evergreen bushes or some yews, some juniper, a lot of the things that you're decorating, especially on the front door or around your maybe pillars, can be just greens. If you could get a bunch of greens together, put a nice bow on it, and hang it from a pillar, they're really very effective. And it gives a nice little glow, and it's not really fancy, and it didn't cost you a lot of money. Okay, what I'd like them to do when they came up to my front door is to see a nice grapevine wreath. Now, there are a lot of grapevine wreaths on the market now. Our store carries a number of different grapevine wreaths. But what I'd like to show you is if you had a grapevine wreath that was plain and you'd like to spruce it up for Christmas or make it festive, it's really very easy. I have here a 16-inch grapevine wreath. It's very plain. There's nothing on it. These are available in a lot of different stores. We carry them plain in our store. You just need to ask about them. We keep them in the back. But the grapevine wreaths are very popular because they're very rustic and easy to hang. Okay, now you have this really cute grapevine wreath and you don't know what to do with it. Well, quite often, all you need is a cluster at the bottom. And I'm going to show you how to do a nice, easy cluster. Now, you just attacked your rose bush, your evergreen bush, right? We have all these nice greens that you've just attacked it with. They're going to last for a little bit of time, so you don't need to worry. If you've ever taken evergreens off before, you'll know they'll give you some longevity. And we're going to take these evergreens and we're just going to stuff them in at the base here. Okay, I'm not doing any serious planning here. I'm not using a glue gun. I'm not using any fancy equipment. I'm using just some greens. Okay. Okay, now we've got a base. We've got a nest is what we have, okay? Now what you'd like to do is build something out of the nest. I happen to have a painted goose. For those of you who paint, or for those of you who have different pieces like wooden hearts and things in the house, it's just really a matter of slipping it into the nest, okay? Now we have a nice little nested goose. Didn't take a lot, wasn't too difficult. We might be able to get some pine cones from underneath the bushes or underneath the evergreen trees. Those you can wire on with just any kind of a simple wiring technique, whether you want to put them here or maybe sprig them in here. If you'd rather, maybe we could even take it, instead of having a goose in there, maybe we should just put a little wee teddy bear in there. He can be just as easily wired in and he can make his home at your house, especially if your house happens to be blues or whatever colors you can get a teddy in. And quite often, if you don't have the greens available, or if you haven't been able to find greens that you really like, you can get picks and things like that, even at Murphy Mart, or a simple pick at a floral wholesaler or anything like that. Okay, we're just stuffing this pick in here. Let me see if I can do it without bending the pick. Okay. Now, this really didn't take more than, what, 3, maybe 4 minutes? We have a really cute wreath, and if we had some more picks, if we had some more color, if you prefer to do something where you really enjoy bows, okay, you want your color to be more into a bow, you can do something like that. Maybe do a bow at the top, okay? Maybe do a bow at the base. But it didn't take a lot, it didn't cost a lot, and it really has a very warm, soft appearance, which is the key to country decorating. It's all natural. I mean, we're not talking about any kind of a plastic, styrofoam, or other kind of fake wreath. It was very, very simple. And I think most of you people could probably do it without any problem at all. If I can do it in 2 minutes, you can do it in 2 minutes, I assure you. Okay, now they've come up to my front door, they're ringing the doorbell. The first thing they do is they walk into my house, and I want them to walk into the house, and I want them to immediately go, oh, does it smell good in here? How many of you people did that when you walked in? Could you smell the cinnamon and all the yummy things? Quite often, if you are serving mulled cider or spiced wine, it automatically gives that yummy smell in your house, and you really don't have to do anything special for it. But if you made it way ahead of time, or if you've done all your cooking ahead of time and all the smells are already gone, maybe you'd like to bring them back. And one of the nice ways to do that is by simmering potpourri, and that's what we've done tonight. We've simmered a little bit of what we call stovetop potpourri. There's some herbs, some cinnamon, a little bit of evergreen, bayberries, a bunch of different things that have been specially compiled and dried, and they're made exclusively for a stovetop potpourri. And it simmers, and the house smells absolutely yummy, and people can't wait to go for the food because they immediately expect something delicious. Now, if you ever do this in your house, and it's not a special occasion, and your husband walks in the door and he smells this great smell, you're in big trouble because he's expecting the pie. And if you come in, and if he comes in and there's nothing yummy on the stove, you're in big trouble. But it really is a nice way to warm up the house and make it smell yummy, and automatically gives them a real good feeling before they've even gotten in the door. Okay, now they're coming in the door, and what we've done is we've elaborated a little bit further on the stencil, and we've taken a carpet sample, and we've stenciled a carpet sample. Now, if you haven't stenciled before, this might be a little tricky. I wouldn't say if you have stenciled, you can try it, but if you haven't stenciled, don't make this your first project. It's a little bit more difficult. But this is, again, elaborating a little bit on our theme. It's stenciling, which is a very country technique. It's done on a carpet sample. It's right in the entranceway, and when they walk in, they might be reluctant to wipe their feet because they've immediately seen something warm and cozy, which, again, follows your theme. Okay, now, we've got them in the house. We've got them walking up and seeing all the nice, yummy things we've got in the house. And usually the folks, when they come into your house, they either go in one direction or another. They head for the food, or they head for the liquor, or they head to maybe where a fireplace is and where all the people are mingling, okay? Usually, when people mingle, they mingle in a room maybe where the fireplace is lit. And we're going to take you into my living room now. You've come into my house and you smell the good smells, and you've walked into my living room. Now, into my living room, you'll find my hearth and my fireplace and my mantle. That's a fun place to decorate. You can just go crazy on a mantle. A mantle can mean just, again, attacking a bush, getting lots of greens and filling up the mantle with greens. Loading between the greens, maybe some bobbins. I don't know whether you've ever decorated with bobbins before, but these are old bobbins from a North Carolina weaving mill, okay? At one time, these were just strewn with wool. Now, they're no longer being used. Now they're candle holders. You can use them in all different levels. You'll see here we've got all different sizes, okay? You can have a graduated little cluster on that fireplace. You could have possibly an apple tucked in the greens, okay? This is just a regular apple that we've cored out. We've put a little candle in it, maybe a sprig or two of green. Didn't take very long, didn't cost a lot, and it makes a great centerpiece. And it also looks really good amidst all your greens. maybe take just a few nuts. If you've gone to Giant Eagle, bought the nuts assortment, throw some nuts on the greens. They look really yummy. Get a pine cone. Send the kids out on the lawn. They love it. Okay, we're going to decorate. You find pine cones and acorns, you find good leaves, and you find greens. And off they go on their treasure hunt, and they bring in all these good things, half of which you'll throw away. The other half you can use and make up a really nice little display, and they feel like they've been part of the Christmas decorating. And it's all very natural. Okay, what we've done here, we've just taken a votive candle instead of a tall candle. Again, we just cord it, put the sprigs. You can either set the votive deeper into the candle, into the apple, or you can set up higher so people can see it based on where your greens are in the room. Okay, you aren't limited by the fruits or by the bobbins. You'll see here, we've taken a grater. Okay, this is just a regular cheese grater, an old-fashioned one, the cone graters. Okay, and then all we've done is put a votive in there. And it makes a little glow, and it dispenses the light very nicely. Here you'll find something very simple, a little bit unusual, an old cupcake tin. Can you see this? I don't know whether you can see it very well, but take an old cupcake tin. This one happens to be a cupcake tin for 8. Fill it with a little votives, light them, maybe a few sprigs of green, a few nuts, something like that. It really looks good, especially as a kitchen decorator, or maybe as a decorator for where your food's being held. If you have a special table full of yummies to eat, maybe this would look really cute with some greens and maybe a gingerbread boy laying up against him. Okay, so the lighting is really a nice effect on either mantles or any place that you are setting up a display of greens, or just want a little bit of a warm glow in a corner that doesn't normally get light. If you have an area of your house that's a little darker, maybe it'd be nice just to have a cluster of lighting there. And it gives it a nice effect, and it's not very expensive. Votive candles you can usually get almost anywhere, and if you really price them well, you can get maybe 4 or 5 for $1. And that's not bad. Now these folks, like I said, they're all in my living room, and in my living room where I have the hearth, that's another fun place to decorate. You can put all kinds of goodies on hearths. You can put big baskets loaded with things that are falling out of them, or you can put maybe a big poinsettia in a reindeer. Now we happen to have a reindeer here that we've put a poinsettia in, a silk poinsettia, and we call him Rudy, and he just sits on the sits on the hearth. And if you have a nice fire going and you have Rudy sitting there, he's kind of an entertainer. He has his own little character and draws quite a bit of conversation. Maybe on your hearth you'd rather have a country goose. Okay, here's our country goose with his own little necklace of grapevine, and we've got him all set up for Christmas, and he's really fun. But what do you do after Christmas? You've got him in the attic? No, we got a spot. Here he is. He's reversible. We've got our country goose that's reversible, so you can use them all year round without going to the added expense of having to. Some things are very difficult to store, and this is one of them, and you don't really want to tuck it away anyway just because it says Merry Christmas. So just turn her around and she's all set. We've taken some oranges and we've covered them with cloves. Have any of you ladies ever done this before? It is a wonderful room center, and it makes a big difference if you have maybe 3, 4, 5 different oranges all punctured with clove. It smells absolutely delicious, and I'll pass this around so you all can just take a little bit of a smell because it really smells good. The other thing we've done is we've thrown a few nuts in, nothing fancy. These came out of Giant Eagle. And the other thing we have done is made a few gingerbread men. Okay, this is a very basic recipe in almost every Betty Crocker cookbook. A few burnt ones. Okay, the burnt ones are good because the kids won't eat them. They'll leave those out for a longer time. We've taken a few wooden acorns, maybe a wooden cherry or something. You can find a lot of wooden fruit now that you weren't able to find before. Now these are artificial greens, but if you use natural greens or artificial greens, it's still a nice warm effect. Now let me give this to you and let you start. Just give it a little smell. It really has a wonderful, yummy smell. Again, it's just gives the house the smell that you've been really working. The kitchen's obviously been in on overtime because everything smells so good. Okay, now I want to make sure I don't skip anything, so if you see me rooting through these papers, it's just to make sure we haven't skipped anything. One of the other nice things about that hearth area is the fact that most of us hang Christmas stockings on our hearth. Usually in terms of Christmas stockings, and you're thinking in terms of country, usually country Christmas stockings are not always the easiest to find. because most of them are bright reds and bright greens, and country is more soft and more muted, been given a little extra loving and wear and tear. So what we've done here is we've taken some old quilts and some old homespun. This is an old Victorian crazy quilt with a lady's old Victorian jabot that was taken off of the blouse. We have a little small Christmas stocking. Now, this can either hang on your hearth, or one of the nice things that Pam Guido does that I think is a super idea, she takes this into her powder room and she stuffs it with greens and cinnamon sticks and things that make it just look really pretty, because powder rooms are hard to decorate for Christmas. Other than putting out the cute little funky towel with a snowman on it, it's really hard to do it. I mean, I have those sets of towels, I know. But sometimes if you could just get maybe a little old-fashioned stocking, and just stuff it with goodies, have a little teddy bear peeping out or something like that. It'd be really cozy and kind of cute, and of course you'll have to keep the kids out of it because they're going to swear Santa's already been there. Here's a little one that's made of old homespun and a little doily that didn't make it any further. It was stained and ripped, so it was cut up and made into a really cute little homespun stocking. For the larger gift giver, we have the large economy size, okay? That's a standard size Christmas stocking. It's made out of an old quilt that just no longer was able to be used as a quilt. And it's a shame to throw those wonderful things away that took women hours and hours and hours to put together, you know, maybe 50, 60 years ago. So we've converted it into a Christmas stocking, and now we'll get just as much love and get quite a few more years out of it. Okay, so there's that hearth, and there's that nice warm fireplace idea, and it really has brought you into a good feeling into the house. Now, immediately, my company switches into eat mode. Get to the food. I'm already entertained. I love it. It's great. Give me the food. So let's try and get them into your dining room and get them feeling real good again about the way you've decorated it without spending a fortune. One of the hardest things to make country is your big glass punch bowl. I mean, other than the fact that it's a big glass punch bowl and maybe you could put some greens around it, it really doesn't look that country. It still looks rather modern or contemporary. So what we've done is we've taken a few other things and we've converted them into punch bowls. For example, we've taken this big old crock. This is a 5 or 6 gallon crock that is a new crock. This is not one of the older crocks. You can use an older crock, but a lot of those are not sealed, and some of them are a little scuzzy. But you can get the new crocks quite readily nowadays. You can get them from a lot of the florists are showing them. A lot of different landscapers who sell plants all year round also have these kind of crocks. And what we would recommend is that you take your crock, maybe put a bow and some greens on it, nothing fancy. It didn't take more than 2 or 3 seconds to put that bow on. And then stuck a few greens in. Find maybe an old granite ladle, okay? And you got to put it in something. Well, we have to think of something that looks a little bit fancier than styrofoam cups. So let's try something like an old canning jar. Okay, these are old jelly jars. And that's very American country, because that's a part of our background. If we didn't have the preserves, we probably wouldn't have made it this far. Now, all I did is take a standard jelly jar, and again, I've just brought that ribbon out again. Okay, so here it is, a little bit of ribbon, a little bit of green, and to make it more fun to drink out of, we put a cinnamon stick in it. There's nothing more exciting than sipping out of a cinnamon stick. It gives it a little bit more taste. It has a little bit more of an unusual look to it. If you have a nice glass of eggnog, it's kind of fun to sip it through a cinnamon stick, or just use it as a stir. You know how people fidget when they're at their party and they don't know what to do themselves, and they're always playing with that swizzle stick. Now they've got a nice cinnamon stick to work with. Hot mulled cider, warm mulled cider. This adds a lot more flavor to the warm mulled cider. Spiced wine, all those aren't. That's a nice little addition to it. And cinnamon sticks are readily available nowadays. Some places have more than others. You can find them in varying degrees. We keep them at the store because we decorate quite a bit with cinnamon sticks. But I think that's kind of a fun addition to the glass. Now, the other thing is you'd like to have a nice way to hide your ice bucket. Now, if you're serving mixed drinks or serving a punch that needs ice, now you all have this lovely ice bucket. This is not exactly country. Some of us got some really unusual ones as wedding gifts and don't know what to do with them. We again suggest maybe a crock. Slip it in a crock. Okay, it's still functional, still has a nice charm, and it gives a lot cozier of an outlook to the whole decorating technique that you've got. And it's kind of fun to use. There's lots of different crocks, all different looks and colors and shapes. Before you go, make sure you know the dimensions of your ice bucket. But I think you'd find that there's a lot of things you can hide in a crock. And then all of a sudden, the party's over, and you slip the poinsettia in it, and there you go. You've got a nice outside planter. But it is a nice way to get around the decorating problems that we run into if we're trying to stay really country. Now they're coming over, they're starting to nibble, and they don't know what to do with their hands. So we have little napkins, and what we've done is we've taken the napkins, whether they're purchased napkins or whether they're muslin ones you've made, which you again can stencil just in the little, to bring up the decorating technique you're using, and we've slipped a little grapevine wreath around it, okay? These little grapevine wreaths are really a nice added feature. One, it's a cute napkin ring. Two, you can slip it around the neck of a bottle of wine if you're taking it to someone's house. You can slip it over the bottles of champagne that you might have that you're serving on New Year's Eve. Just maybe put some tissue around it and slip that over as a seal for the tissue that you're taking the bottle to their house. The other nice thing is, this is a thank you gift. Thank you so much for coming to my party. I really enjoyed having you. Please take the napkin ring home, use it on your tree, and remember us next year when you're setting up your Christmas tree. They've got a little thank you gift, and you are the star of the neighborhood. Okay? The other thing is, if you happen to be invited to the party and you don't know what to do with that bottle, and you don't happen to have the cute little grapevine wreath, we have some alternatives. There's a lot of folks now who are going to the sack method rather than that gorgeous brown paper bag that the State Store would be happy to send you, which you could probably stencil if you were desperate. You can go to the muslin stenciling. There's a lot of little things you can do with muslin. This is one of them. You can stencil the muslin, slip it over the bottle of wine, take it over, and thank you very much. And, you know, it's a cute little gift idea. We have a nice big fatty here, which is also a fun one because it can be loaded with Christmas presents and other fun things. But this is one of the fatter types, and this one has been silk screened as opposed to stenciled. Okay. Now they're coming into your house, and there's lots of things to nibble on, and you're trying to think of a way to keep the cider warm. You've got this nice warm cider, and you put it in the crock, and it kind of gets cold, and you don't know what to do with it. What you might want to try is using a warming tray. And since warming trays are not exactly country, just put some greens around it. Okay? Here's your standard contemporary warming tray. Slip it behind some greens. All I did was throw some greens around it, a wooden apple, a couple pine cones, all the things the kids found out in the front lawn. And I happened to have a copper kettle, so that really fitted the look. And take the same old quilt that you had and make a nice little pot holder out of it. If you're not using it as a pot holder, it makes a nice warming plate, putting something warm on. So you have, again, the country look, and it fits your whole motif. And one of the things that we have been decorating a lot with this year is dried fruit, especially citrus fruit, because citrus fruit is a really easy fruit to dry, and it makes a very nice stained glass window. Now we've taken some limes and some lemons, and here's a little orange, and we've sliced them very thin, and we've dried them, okay? This can be used just sitting in any kind of a decorating piece if you're putting it on centerpieces. You can take them and hang them on the tree. We have them hung on the tree, and I don't know whether you can see it effectively here, but if you put this behind a light, it looks like a little window, and it's really very pretty, and it doesn't take very much. Okay, to dry these, you slice them really thin. I took a piece of thread and ran it through a whole orange, okay? So you have slices of orange like this lined up with a piece of thread. I took the thread and I put it on a box that had 2 slits on either side of it. So the thread is like a clothesline. The slices of orange are listed like this, and none of them are touching. And it needs to dry for about 48 hours. After about 48 hours, you've got a nice little dried piece of fruit, and the kids think it's really swell. They won't eat it, but it's kind of a fun thing that they helped make or they were involved in. You could get real fancy with these, and you could put little red ribbons on them or little sprigs of green, maybe a little berry in the middle, whatever you'd like to do. but it doesn't really need it. It's very effective all by itself. Again, you'll see we've taken just some nuts that we went to the grocery store and picked up, maybe down to the strip district, get some really fun things down there. The fruits and vegetables down there are just fantastic, and you can get some beautiful big lemons and oranges and slice them nicely and do some drying, and it won't take very much and really won't be expensive. What we've had is, right here, is we've just decided, well, we want to have some munchies that people can have, not necessarily on our serving table, but that they can have and just walk around with, and we have some nuts here. We've taken a little old sleigh, again. Now, this is a new sleigh that's been distressed to make it look old. It's very new. It was just made. But it looks like an old sleigh. And we stuffed it with greens. We stuffed it with an artificial piece of holly, maybe a few berries, and there you have your nuts. You could fill it with gingerbread men. You could fill it with some cookies. It could be anything. But don't be limited by the containers that you find in your cupboard. You can put food in anything if it's done correctly. Now, you all have Tupperware. I have Tupperware, and I'm, like the Tupperware queen. Everything goes in Tupperware because it can go in the refrigerator. Well, if you have a container and you have food in it that's a Tupperware container, and you really don't want to take it out of the container, don't. Put it in a basket. This is a Tupperware container. Slip it in a basket with some greens around it. It makes, if you're having potato salad or a salad of some sort, there's no reason why you'd have to take it out of the container if you don't want to. Just get a nice, fun bowl. This happens to be, a basket. This is a melon basket. It's a nice, full base basket. Works out really well for greens. If you don't want to use it for Tupperware, it makes a great container for potato chips and pretzels, the big fat pretzels, the Pennsylvania Dutch pretzels. Basically, anything can be put in the baskets, and Tupperware is no exception. So don't shy away from using your Tupperware or your big bowls or anything like that. Go ahead and use them. Just slip them into something else or cover them up, disguise them. Then when the party's over, snap the lid on, stick in the fridge, and don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. Throw the greens out, whatever you want to do with those. If they're munching on something that you feel they need silverware for, but you don't want to put out an entire amount of silverware, and you just as soon use plasticware, put the plastic in something different. We've taken this happens to be a Kraft box. This used to have Kraft cheese in it, the old Kraft cheese. What we've done is we've lined it with a little bit of homespun fabric, not very much, and put the plastic forks and knives in it. We've slipped over a few of these coasters that were cross-stitched to match our little motif, our Christmas tree motif. And they just go in there, and it doesn't look like there's plastic sitting out. You don't have the old plastic Christmas, like to go along with the styrofoam cups. And this is a nice added idea, okay? You've taken little pieces of even weave, which this is just the cross-stitch fabric, and Pam has made little coasters for her guests. So they're going to come in, they're going to take this, walk around with maybe their cider, and when they're all done in the evening, they get to take their coaster home. Makes a cute little a piece for them to put on their coffee table with maybe some candies on or something. Okay, a lot of times you're going to have cheeses and things available to your company, and it would be fun if you could find an unusual cheese board. Well, we have an unusual cheese board. We have a country goose. Can you girls see this? He's a country goose, and he hangs up just beautifully by the neck on your wall during the rest of the year. And all you do is, for the different occasions, change his bow. At Easter, do pastels, or at Christmas, do the Christmas ribbons, and during the rest of the year, make it match your wallpaper. Just let him hang there. We happen to have some gingerbread cookies on him, but it's a very simple way to have a decorating piece as well as a functional piece. Okay, so they're really impressed. They're walking through here, and they're just really excited about it. And so what we've done is we've had them walk through the table. Maybe we'd like to have something sitting either on the wall in the room, or maybe it's just sitting on the table. And what I've done here is, again, I've gone to the basket motif. Now I'm going to show you, once again, how to do something from scratch that won't take very long. And it's really a very effective way of decorating year-round. Now this is called a shaker cheese dryer. It's no longer used like that. Around here, anyway. Not too many of you people are making your own cheese, I don't think. But these are now, they're still being made by different basket weavers, and this is made by a local young lady, and she does a really nice job of weaving the baskets. She also does these baskets for us. But we take the shaker baskets, and they can sit on a table by themselves, or they hang up on the wall, okay? Now you take this nice little basket, which has a very nice geometric shape, Once again, you're going to take your greens. That poor bush out front's getting skinnier every time. Okay, we haven't done anything too fancy. Again, it's just greens, and I'll try and keep this up so you girls can see it. I'm not doing anything too difficult. I'm just putting some greens in here on the flat end of it so it will sit. I've taken some, let's see, some plastic fruit since I didn't have anything dried like that. This is nice, but it's nice and muted. We're not talking shiny plastic fruit, folks. We're talking soft colors. Maybe you've got burgundy in your decorating wallpaper, or maybe in your sofas or something. We've taken maybe a piece of the lemon that you've dried. I've taken a few little other leaves that we've dried. Maybe you'd like to do something like putting a little wee teddy bear sitting in the greens. Okay. And he's sitting there all by himself. Maybe you'd just like to put an acorn or two, or maybe even just have a piece of gingerbread. Nothing really fancy. It didn't take a lot. You know, if you just want some color, whatever colors you want to pick up, it's not really difficult. He hangs up real well, and come Easter you go, okay, let's get the next colors. And you just work again with whatever the motif is. Just be as festive as you want with the same piece. That way you get a lot of seasons out of it, one single piece of basketry. This is also a fun piece to serve things in if you put a liner in. Okay, now the other thing we're going to hit is the idea of your Christmas tree. Now, country Christmas trees do not have the flashing lights that say, hello, I was just at the Murphy Mart. They're very soft. They are really very natural, okay? Most of the things you can dig out of your refrigerator. A lot of you people probably, looking at you in the different age groups of children I assume you have, you've probably strung popcorn and cranberries. That's a fun thing. We have some natural cranberries strung here. That's nice, and the kids, if you have a real small person, if they get a hold of it, they're not going to make themselves ill. The cranberry is edible, okay? You're not having something that's metallic or plastic or poisonous. The other thing is we have the natural dried fruit. It's really pretty, adds a lot of color. If your little 2-year-old or your 1-year-old walks over to it and grabs it and takes a bite, that's fine. You're not in Children's Hospital, okay? The other thing is gingerbread men. Gingerbread men are a fun thing. It's a project for the kids. It's a project for Mom. They're baked. They eat half of the batter. The other half of the batter goes on the tree. Tinsel's another real tricky thing. Tinsel's very attractive on a tree, but it's very shiny and it's toxic. I mean, I wouldn't want my kid swallowing this. So we've gone to baby's breath. Baby's breath is a very soft look. It looks like snow on your tree. You can take a bunch of baby's breath and cover the entire tree with just teeny wee sprigs. You see that, and this is just a little teeny bit of the amount of baby's breath that you might be able to obtain. You could do an entire tree in no time flat. Okay? Again, like I said, we have the dried fruits, and we have some other things on here that you can see. Here are some dried apples. Okay? They're done basically the same idea. It's just a dried fruit. They can munch on it. It's no different than when they're getting the trail mix. Okay? You can either put a little velvet ribbon about it or maybe even some jute to make it look more natural. And those can hang on the tree. The apples are not dried the same way. These are done in the oven. They're done in an oven at 200 degrees for 2 hours. So you slice them very thin. You put them on a cookie platter, stick them, or cookie tray, put them in the oven at 200 degrees. They're going to cook a minimum of 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, ignore them. Forget it. Let the oven completely cool down. When everything is cooled off, just take them off and voila. I've done it before I've gone to bed. Turn it on, 200, set the timer. When I woke up in the morning, instant brown and dried apples. Again, they're very safe and you're not worried about the kids. Cinnamon sticks are a fun thing. If you have a nice big full tree, maybe a few sprigs of cinnamon sticks, maybe a few bows. All natural, didn't cost very much, and the kid is not going to spend some time with Ipecac, syrup of Ipecac. Especially if you have little ones. Now, with my people coming to my party, A nice end of the evening is to have everybody sit around with maybe something warm to drink and sit around the tree and do some chatting. And at the end of the evening, I'd like them to take something home to say thank you for coming to my party. And what a nice idea for your Christmas tree is maybe take some little wee baskets like these. Maybe put a little homespun or some kind of little muslin around it. Fill it with some goodies. Hang them on your tree. And then as your guests are getting ready to leave, invite them to go to the tree and say, please take a little basket and think of us. Thank you for coming. We're glad you were able to do it. And the goodies are for the kids. If you aren't able to find maybe the baskets, a lot of things available today, or a lot of stores have the little boxes. We happen to carry them in our store. These are made out of the primitive or the old-fashioned illustrators of Christmas carols and Christmas Santas from all over the world. And these boxes are fun because you can put maybe, if you're a cross-stitcher, maybe you could make a little ornament and tuck it in here. I happen to have it filled with maybe After 8 Mints or Andy's Mints or something like that. Little things for them to take home. And that way they're taking home part of the evening and they'll remember it again later on. It's a very, like I said, a very simple way of decorating, and it adds to the tree and it also adds to the memories that the people are having at your house. And there's one other thing I want to show you, and it doesn't really have a lot to do with the actual decorating of the house, but is the nativity. I have here what we would call a primitive or a country nativity set. Now this nativity set is one that we have in the store. This is the larger one because it has a number of different animals. But this is a nativity set designed for people who have family who want to play with a nativity set. I don't know how many of you have grown up in a house that had a gorgeous nativity and your mother said, don't touch it. If you touch it, you'll break it. Well, you learn a lot. You learn that Christmas means don't touch it. Christmas shouldn't mean that. Children love Christmas, and it should be a fun time for them of lots of good experiences. And maybe one of the best things is getting to play with the sheep in the nativity scene. So if you can get a nativity that the kids can play with and enjoy, and if it's distressed, all the better. If they drop it, it's distressed a little bit more, and that just shows that they were loving it and playing with it and acting out maybe baby Jesus, and that was really fun. So they're going to have a lot of fun memories about the nativity set and the fact that it was sitting out on a table that they could play with, had some straw, and you get straw in the carpet, and Mom hates it, but it's great fun. And it's not a piece that you panic about, and from year to year it can be brought out without any wear or tear on it because it's already distressed, and it's made out of easy to work with wood that won't shatter on the floor and cause some problems. Thank you so much for having me, and if I can help any of you, just give me a holler, okay?
Thanks a lot.